I'm gonna make a video about this cable that I have. It's an RGB Scart multi cable that gives full RGB colors, or RGB mode, what do you call it? And I really enjoy mine. I've had it for I think 2 years, and the only problem I've had, well, apart from not finding the cables, is that this one I've connected it so many times that it started to be loose here. But for the price of this one, I think I can accept that, and it gives I think it gives a very nice picture and good sound as well without too much interference. It's not it's not the most perfect shielded cable you can find on the market, but I'm very satisfied with it, and I have mine connected to my recorder, that one there, and that's how I make all my videos, all my gaming videos. Well, apart from the ones that don't have connections here. So with this multi-cable you can connect Super Famicom. You can probably not connect, actually I know you can't connect a Super Nintendo because it has a different standard. Nintendo kind of messed around with their standards, so the RGB on a Super Nintendo is different from Super Famicom or the American Super Nintendo or the NTSC Super Nintendos. I can also not use it on a Japanese GameCube because it doesn't support RGB, and I cannot use it on a Nintendo 64 because it doesn't have RGB unless you RGB mod it. We do RGB mod Nintendo 64s. These are Japanese consoles, and then you can cut out. I or my colleague cuts off the tabs in here for the card holder, and then they will work with American games. They don't play PAL games though, but they will work with no problem with this cable if you RGB mod it. And it also has the Dreamcast support and the Saturn support. It also has an Xbox support, which I hopefully will never sell, and a PlayStation. So one of these is PlayStation, one of them is Dreamcast, one of these two. They look quite similar, but the PlayStation one is one to the right, it's more square, and this one is more oval. And the one thing you have to keep in mind with this cable is that you can only have one of these ends plugged in at the same time, otherwise there's going to be some distortions in the picture or the sound. I don't think you can break the consoles, I haven't managed to do that yet. Although the Dreamcast, especially the early models, are known to be sensitive for having power come in through the AV out here, and it might destroy the internal video chip. And what happens then is that you're not going to get any picture anymore, you're just going to get sound from the console. I don't know if this cable can cause that, but I assume it might happen. I assume it might be possible, but so far I haven't had any problems with the cable anyways. And for me it works great because I try out a lot of consoles, and I make videos of different systems, so it's very handy for me only to have to, like here we take the Dreamcast, so just plug in the cable here. It can be a bit tight sometimes, but it's not. I mean, I've had third-party cables that were a lot more tighter than this. It's not. I can easily plug it in there without. Because the Dreamcast is a bit sensitive, I would recommend that you always plug in the AV cable first, and then the power cable. Now this is a Japanese Dreamcast, and I'm in Europe, so I'm using a little step down here. I'm using the same one for my Dreamcast and my Saturn and for my PlayStation, but I don't have a PlayStation right now. So this is in AV mode, and for some reason the Dreamcast doesn't work in AV mode. It only works in RGB mode. Seems to have both modes there. And it's rather nice with a recorder because right now I have it plugged in directly to the TV just to make sure that it runs in RGB. If I go through the recorder, it wouldn't be true RGB, or you know, I'm just not sure about that. But I have it plugged in directly to the TV. But if I add it to the recorder, it's very handy because I just press record and it will record. But it isn't this cable here, in case you're wondering. This one is the S-video cable. You can watch the intro while I'm talking, maybe. I'm using the S-video cable for the Nintendo 64 and for the GameCube. If I raise the volume here, you don't hear any buzzing at all, do you?
Capcom versus SNK.
Alright. I'm gonna unplug this. Unplug the video cable. I'm gonna plug in the Saturn cable. The arrow actually points, you might think that the arrow should be up, but it's actually down. Like that. Bring in the power. The Saturn does have some buzzing sound, but I think that's partly because let's put it in here. Partly because the Saturn just has buzzing sound in itself, no matter what cable you use. The Saturn, I'm going to change that to RGB mode. But the buzzing mainly occurs when there isn't any sound or music on the screen, so it doesn't bother me personally. I'll never learn this game, Puyo Puyo. Alright, let's try the next one. On the Super Famicom we don't need, I'm not using any step down, I'm just using a power supply like this one, or maybe it could be this one. But I'm gonna unplug the Saturn AV cable like that. I'm gonna plug in the one disadvantage maybe is this kind of mess that you get. Well, by the way, there you can see proof it is the same cable, just a lot more used. It does look a bit bright through the camera lens, but the picture is very nice, at least on my TV. So that's that. I do recommend this cable, but I think people may be skeptical of it.